This is Duke University.
Beyond the Numbers was born out of an alternative fall break trip that's sponsored by the Women's Center and the Baldwin Scholars Program. And what that trip does is it takes about 10 young Duke women down to Apopka, Florida, which is largely it has a high undocumented immigrant population there. And so the women have this wonderful transformative experience interacting with this community, and we thought it would be important to share those stories. So that's where Beyond the Numbers comes from, and we hope that you enjoy our engaging dialogue as we share these experiences. Okay, so, ready? I started out not believing. It's easy enough to dream with your eyes closed, to breathe in, breathe out. Do not see the way your world collides with others. Where I am from, there are fields, endless fields of corn, soybeans, wheat, and machines I thought that picked them. Where I am from, there are vineyards, endless vineyards of red and green grapes, and machines I thought that picked them. But a machine doesn't do it. Grapes are too damn delicate for that. A brown hen from Mexico does it in summer, when the pesticide storms have ebbed. I began ignorant. It's super fácil to speak of oppression and the oppressed in Spanish class, manipulating vocabulary without thinking it's someone else's classmate, or perhaps my own. It's crazy and uprooting to think that your mind has no fences, no walls, and then to find out, yeah, those borders are in my brain too, put up by some nameless neuron, encoded by me. Some days I feel fake, throwing around words like social activism and social change, saying, yeah, I want to make a difference, but still having to put that idea on the back burner so I can study, write my paper, do all that homework, maybe do my dishes, get a good grade. It becomes harder for me to see the value of a number, like a 96 or a 77, when I know at the end, no one's going to care what that number meant to me. So I stand here still, following that traditional educational path from rural girl to Duke woman, because I was taught to believe in it. But no one calls Duke the real world. All of my friends say, when I'm a real person and not a student, when I'm out there, not here, when I graduate and leave, I want to be something else. Real. I can give you digits. 85% of our fruits and vegetables are harvested by hand. 11.7 million undocumented people and more are living here in the United States. 91.08% of Durham's Lakewood Elementary's children are free reduced lunch. 14% of Sewell children in Chapel Hill are. $165 for the UCIS immigration fee, and 51.08% of Mexico's population are living below the poverty line. 52.3. But you won't remember these. I didn't. Numbers can be manipulated like words. Numbers can be reduced, divided, multiplied, increased by a factor of 10, decreased by a factor of 10, taken to 0, forgotten. And the point is, numbers aren't stories. A number needs a face to be real, and that is why I'm here. Eyes open, not dreaming.
Hi, my name is Claire. My story was just kind of like a real image and kind of experience that stuck with me over the weekend. The kitchen was hot and cramped. There were 3 of us there, a 4th standing in the doorway. A moist, smoky air engulfed our lungs, and blackened fry pans crowded the stove. We didn't dare stand too close, for the hot oil was begging for a sweet kiss. I stood in the middle of things, watching the pupusas at the stove, spatula in hand. Rosalina was to my left. About a head shorter than I, she was patting down that moistened flour, kneading it into small, flat cakes, arriving at just the perfect thickness. Her hands moved quick and with deliberate precision. She would pass them across the stove to Deanna, who would spoon refried beans to each cake's center, sprinkle on mozzarella cheese, and then pass them to me. I finished each cake's assembly by pinching them together and throwing them into the pan. It wasn't the most efficient system. Rosalina worked quickly in comparison to my and Deanna's fumbling hands. She would laugh at our imprecise measurements or my exploding cracked pupusas in the pan. We would laugh too, inserting our broken Spanish phrases of apology. Amidst the laughter was Rosalina's brother's chuckle. Brian was leaning up against the doorway, observing the scene. He was as far from the ingredients so as not to get his hands dirty, yet near enough to be part of the fun. I took note of this specific positioning and called attention to it. I called him over, "Tu puedes ayudar?" and handed him the cake that Deanna had just handed me. He was surprised, startled even, to be commanded into the kitchen like that. With the sound of his sister's laughter behind me, though, a smile began to spread across his face, too. Together, we got into a rhythm, and within 10 minutes, we had more than a dozen crisp and hot pupusas resting on a plate beside the stove, with a half dozen more in the fry pans. As we were cooking, I would glance over at Rosalina, who couldn't keep from smiling. Having so much presence in the kitchen was unnatural for a woman living with four other young men. Rosalina was making pupusas that night upon request from her boyfriend, who was from El Salvador, the pupusa's native home. Rosalina herself was from Guatemala and had traveled to the United States just 4 years ago. I didn't know the entire story, how she came here and what her expectations were, if they had even been met. All I knew was that she was undocumented and what that meant here in the United States. Back in the kitchen, we were nearly ready to serve our meal. We had made the side additions beforehand, the curtido, a pickled cabbage dish, and salsa roja, which was just a thin tomato sauce. We gathered the dishes and the couple of hot pads we could find, bringing them all to the table. By this time, Rosalina's boyfriend had joined us too. We sat and served ourselves, but before taking the first bite, I reached for the hands of those sitting beside me. We each said something, in English or Spanish, silence or shared aloud. We recognized who was there at the table and thanked each other for the meal. Outside, there is no street name. The houses look to be bleak copies of each other, with no sense of individual character. The roads are thin, not for a lack of use, but for a lack of financial means of improvement. Yet, within one house on that unnamed street was a kitchen full of flavor and of true people.
When I was little, I thought it'd be cool to be an alien. I would have blue skin and violet hair. I'd have butterfly wings and vampire teeth. I would be like all the other aliens. I would come from the sky in a modern spaceship, but it wouldn't come to hurt anyone. I'd be like E.T. I'd come to learn and make friends. But as I got older, I unimagined my extraterrestrial friends. I stopped believing in aliens. But I'm here to tell you, don't let go of childish fantasies too quickly. Aliens exist in America. Apparently, they suck the veins of the country dry. They use mythical powers to scale walls. They can breathe underwater for hours. These are not benevolent creatures. These aliens have come to take over America. They come for our jobs and our way of life. Their tongues spit strange words like sobrevivir, esperanza, pueblo. I've never seen an alien in America, but I'm told they exist. I've met people who are different, sure. Once I met a man who immigrated from Guatemala, married the love of his life in Mexico, and then migrated again to the U.S. 3 nations, 2 borders, 1 wish. A better life, I asked. He tolerated my foreign question and calmly replied, A person always dreams that there is something different somewhere else. Sometimes I think I should leave America, this alien place, and go home. But I know that home is strange too. Someone planted an idea of America in my spine, and sometime in my youth it was activated. I always believed there was algo más allá. I told him I believed in it too, the algo más allá, the something beyond the here. So what happens when you come to an alien place when you're an alien? That's a funny question, he said. I guess the people here are aliens too. We just look at each other like the other might eat you. We know that each other's tendencies, I guess. I'm strong. They could never consume me, but sometimes they nibble at my toes. Does that tickle and make you laugh? It tickles, but it never makes me laugh. What do you miss about your planet? I miss my family, of course. Aliens have family? I thought you were born in pods. No, of course we have family. I haven't seen them in a very long time. Why don't you get in your spaceship and see them? If I leave in my spaceship, I might not have fuel to come back. That's what happens when you're in an alien place. You don't control the fuel here. On my planet, I could decide when and where my spaceship went. I could visit all the craters of my planet. When I was younger, my friends and I would race our spaceships in circles around the stars. So why did you leave your planet? Here we can't even see the stars at night. Well, every planet is broken. Here your ground splits open and eats your people up. Here the wind spins and tears down your homes. Here the sea rises and drowns your cities. My planet is the same. The ground won't let us grow. The wind carries our fences away. And the sea? The sea on my planet was beautiful. When I was young, I would close my eyes and the ocean was any color I wanted it to be. But the current from the ocean turned it blue. Do aliens have dreams? I can't sleep through the night, but I'm always dreaming, always with my eyes wide open. So just like write an explanation, I kind of wrote this not to like compare and document people to aliens, but kind of show the mentality I had when went down to Florida, and kind of the idea of how to about personhood and what it meant to be a citizen and what it meant to be an alien or what it meant to be undocumented. And I think that I guess the thing that most impacted me about going to Florida was that the humanity of the people I was talking to and how patient they were and kind when I was asking very ignorant and frankly kind of dehumanizing questions. And so, I just had a really good experience, and the people that I met were very, they kind of opened to my eyes to something I'd already seen before when I was younger, that, it's not a bad thing to be, an alien or a bad thing to be undocumented. There's just, different types of people in the world, and our borders, they can separate us, but they could also be a way to connect us too.
My name is Zoe Willingham, and I'm a freshman. I'm here to report back from the battlefields of the United States, to tell you what I learned about what it means to be undocumented, impoverished, and abandoned in a country where everyone is supposedly afforded every opportunity. I can pretend to comprehend the pain of an uprooted family, the fear of being discovered at any moment, the hope that comes with living so close to a dream. But this would be a disservice to the 11 million or more undocumented people in this country and their 11 million or more unique stories. I cannot pretend to represent them with my clumsy prose to a distant audience. I am only one woman, so far removed from those struggles myself. I can listen, but I cannot understand. I can empathize, but I cannot comprehend. So what hope have I of transmitting their experiences to you secondhand? We could talk for a long time about understanding, pero no podemos entender verdaderamente. As academics enthusiastically pursue cross-cultural understanding in the name of progress, we leave more and more people behind. At Duke, we pride ourselves in our emphasis on service learning, but I'm afraid Duke and I have different ideas of service. Becoming an ambassador between the privileged world of academia and the huddled masses yearning to be free is not enough to change anything. Words are meaningless without action, something that is sorely lacking in the privileged world I come from. This beloved university is filled with bright young minds destined to be leaders. But though each student could discuss at length their passions, When asked to take action to back up their claim that they care, they stutter and cite homework as an excuse to stay on campus that weekend. Their idea of action is bake sales for refugees and a tame debate between experts on the pros and cons of drone strikes. But on the issue of immigration, the time for talking is long past. Every day we waste time on another benefit concert or bake sale, vestiges of the elite philanthropy that birthed this great institution. More families are being torn apart. Another student stays trapped in their hometown. The hometown she was brought to as a child because college is out of reach. Debemos actuar ahora. I can't speak for these people, but I can act with them. It's time that we stop patronizing the communities we mean to help by pattering on about cross-cultural understanding and join with them, get dirt under our fingernails and poster paint on our jeans. It's time we asked, what can we do to give these people the power they deserve? How can we work with them so that together we can win them security, a vote, a union, and education? It's time we backed up our concern with meaningful actions. There's something we can do right this minute in our beloved community. Demand that Duke treat undocumented young adults brought to this country as children, as the Americans they are, and offer them the same opportunities as any other American student by extending them the same financial aid. Thank you.